Okay, so just along from Askam Pier towards Roanhead, and that is Roanhead Point there, that sort of cliffy, sticky out bit. We come to the remains of the sea wall which surrounded Woodhead Pit number 1. And the sea wall was built up of spoil and soil and had a tram rail going around it so they could tip the excavated material onto a bank. And the idea of this was to act in pretty much the same way as what happened over there with Hodbarrow seawall. They had 2 over there, incidentally, the first one and then the later one. And it was all about protecting a sop, which is a hematite deposit, which is just up there. I'll show you that in a minute. And the tide today has been a 9.4. I've just missed the height of the tide. I'm about 25 minutes too late. But you can see the debris here on the shore from a 9.4 metre tide. And you can easily understand, with, you know, the natural terrain, that a 10 metre tide, say, would soon imperil any workings just over this rise as they are. And so this exemplifies it beautifully. In fact, now I've got it in my mind, I might try to get down here when there's a 10 metre tide lapping at the bank edge. But so here we have the rail. I was hoping I might be able to get it in slightly better reach. It's a bit tall for me. I might need to come back with a ladder. But I'm just wondering. Oh yes. Now you can probably tell better than me, but that looks like about 85 mil. What I'm seeing from my sort of oblique angle. 85 mil high tram rail material. There would have been a pair of these, of course, in parallel. I might try getting up there in a minute just to measure the other particulars, and if I'm successful I'll fire up the camera, of course. But let's just go and have a look at the what now is the flooded sop working. Just over here. And up above, of course, are the spoil tips, which would have been raised, which is the cast out material from the workings, because they always had the main shaft remote to the actual sop itself, the deposit, so they could drive a shaft down, and then lower down they could have cross cuts coming underneath the deposit to excavate it from below with their top slicing method. But this in here, and I don't know how deep it is, but I bet it's ever so deep, pretty much like at Nigel and Rita pits and all the typical Roanhead workings. I bet it's blinking deep. And of course there you can see the rail protruding from the spoil tip, or should I say the seawall, which went round, probably went out about, I don't know, 30-40 metres, and all the way round to fully protect this from inundation. This all would have been dry, of course. It would have been a dry depression as the excavation proceeded, and you know, there would have been natural groundwater seeping in, which they would pump out, but they wouldn't want an inrush of seawater swamping the workings and causing them more work and damage to contend with. There's Askam Pier, of course, again. And beautiful spoil tips in the distance. I think they're of the other S pits. Wakefield and McKinnon, I think, was the company who worked them. But this one here, Woodhead No. 1 pit. Anyway, let's go and see if we can have a closer look at this rail and see if we can find another one. Yeah, you see the water line where it came up to. That was a 9.4. A 10 metre or 10.4 would just be a wash here. No sweat. So let's go and have a look at that rail. Well, here we are. I managed to get up a rail's eye view. Deary gosh. It's got to be done, hasn't it? You've got to record these things, because next thing you know, this will be washed out as the next major storm erodes the bank. The rail will lie on the beach, barely visible for a little bit, and then it'll be just you know, buried in sand, and people won't even know it's there. So yes, looking at the sort of like the inner rust lamina, 85mm high. Well, they'd probably call it 3.5 inch when it was new and unworn, you know. But of course, they always used to talk about rails as so many pounds per foot, didn't they? I can't see under there, but it looks like the bottom flange might be. Oh, I'll have to do it the other way around, I think. Excuse me while I juggle camera hands. Right, I'll do it the other way round. What have we got there? Oh, 80mm, would you say? I can't get my head down. Looks about 80mm on the flange. And the bullhead, well, I don't know. Oh, I can see a bit here. Let me just check that again. Did I have that in shot? 80mm. Oh, I'm trying to precariously balance on a slope. Or trying to make sure everything's in shot. 80mm, I think that is. I'm going to have to swap hands again. Excuse my shuffling of the wobbliness momentarily. And can you see what that is? I can't get my eye to that, but the camera can. Maybe it's sort of like 40mm. I know the numbers are upside down, but you can tell, can't you? About 40mm wide on the bullhead, I reckon. Hope that's in shot. Looks like it's going to be, yeah. Yeah, so I don't know how long these lengths are. Maybe they're 20-foot rails. And where's the other one? Where is the other one? It might already have laid down there for 3 years and is now buried under all that stuff. Who knows? But yeah. So just looking at this, rail height presumably indicates, you know, the proper official plateau height. How high is that compared to the beach as we currently see it? Oh look, that's my shadow. Hey, did you come along as well? Yeah. Tell you what, my shadow this morning, he was whimpering by the door with a lead in his mouth saying, take me for a walk, take me for a walk. And there he is. Alright mate. That was a pretty good silhouette, isn't it? Dun dun dun. Oh, I'm gonna fall. Yeah, so from the rail height, where it's embedded into the bank, it's maybe 10 or 12 feet, I currently perceive. Alright, I'll try and get down it from here without breaking a leg. Oh, that's good, that's good. Right, I'm down. And there also appears to be here, like, some kind of cemented work with stones to take away the undermining erosion that would otherwise occur, and there seems to be a remnant of it. Can you see it there? It's sort of like it's got a declivity, you know, to break up the waves, and I don't know how far up it came, but let's say from about there it was you know, like a natural repose angle of this bank. And in that context then, it may well be that this rail is the inner of a pair, and they would have been 2-foot gauge probably, let's say 2-foot gauge. Just typical mine tramming rail, like I say, to bring the material out from the excavations and build up a peripheral seawall bank arcing round. I think I can see where the other side of the facing is. Let's have a look at that. Well, I can only surmise that this might be a remnant of the hard facing skirt on this side once it's beginning to arc back in. I can't quite estimate the distance there. It might be 100 metres or 150. In any case, this seawall is quite clearly visible on the 1891 25-inch OS, the Ordnance Survey map. And from that, of course, you could scale the length of the cord between where it impinges on the beach going on out by, and then impinges on the beach coming in by again. So maybe it coursed through there, I don't know. And here it is again, of course, the magnificent, beautiful purple spoil tips beyond, and of course all the hoary nature of the ground here, the ruddle of it. Yeah, oh, good stuff. I'll put up a portion of that 1891 OS map so you can see what I mean. Yeah, beautiful. So here we are again on different camera. There's the embankment and the rail, and here's the facing skirt, and just the height that the water is at this very moment, it seems to delineate, I suggest, the course of this hard facing at the foot, or maybe the rubble from within. As you can see, there's quite a bit of chunky rubble, you know, mine excavated spoil in the embankment, and that seems suggestive, doesn't it? Let's just walk out there and have a look at it closer. Yeah, so there it is, the rail, the bank, the lower skirting. You can probably just make that out there, and it's just swinging around now. This, and it does, doesn't it? It does seem to coincide with that sort of block that I looked at earlier when the water was a bit higher. So yes, I think this is probably it, isn't it? We'll look at the map again, see whether instead of being a true radius, it's almost like got a faceted step out and then a straighter front piece, as it were. Let me just go to the other end of it. By the way, I just want to test the walking stability of this camera setup I have. If I've got the stabilisation switched on, I'll just want to see whether it's working. You can see there's timber stakes here being revealed. I don't know if they were part of the seawall, the embankment, or whether these are something later. But they're quite well nestled in amongst the rockwork there, aren't they? Yeah. Oh no, look, see that piece I looked at earlier? It was that piece just above the dry shoreline, just above the wet shoreline, and yet this rubble trace goes further beyond, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh yes, indeed. Now the water has receded, we see it clearly. Look at this. this stone revetment skirt with sort of like a cement filler, and those bits I looked at earlier must, I imagine, have been swept up there by a big heavy storm or something perhaps. But yeah, this is conclusive, isn't it? Look at this beautiful stone facing, of which I imagine this rubble course here is the remains of it. Here you can see here, I think there's a little bit of, looks like a feature there, you know, a deliberate feature, a line of masonry. Yeah, it's worth getting in amongst it, isn't it? Kind of thing. Yeah, look at that. And then there's the, I'm looking too much into the sun, where is it? Is that it? I'm only guessing that that's it. I can't see. I need a hood. Like a photographer's hood, so I can see things in the bright sunshine. You know, like they did in the old days when they used to set off a magnesium flare on their glass plate. Oh yes, there's more. There's more rock facing there, deliberate rock facing. That there. Wouldn't you say? For sure. Yeah. Oh, this is good. So looking at it afresh now, it seems like this hump here might be the other landward end of the sea wall. I'm revising my earlier estimations, you see. So how's the stabilisation going as I walk along? Hope it's not too bad, but it needs to be tested. Yeah. So just maybe this hump here is the other side of the embankment, or where it makes contact with the shore. And if that were the case, then presumably one might find bits of rail projecting, or if they've already fallen out, then bits of rail under the surface of the soil in there. Let's just go back and have a look at it. Yeah, so I think maybe that's it, where the bush line is, the red berries. Sort of more effectively embracing the sop pond here. This is the sop from the foot of the spoil tips behind, looking to seaward or towards the estuary. And there's the spoil tips, the foot of the spoil tips just up there. And just inland, by the side of the footpath, is this engine bed, brick built. Oh. Studying the plans, I'm not sure off the top of my head what it was for. but it kinda looks like it might have been some kind of winding apparatus, but I'm not sure about that. And down there we can see the access ports, the spannering access ports, where you'd hold the nut with a spanner, whilst the machinery hold down studs were dropped in from above, and then you put a washer and a nut on it to hold it down, and hold the nut with a spanner whilst the machinery was tightened down from the top, again with nuts and washers clamping the machinery to the mass, the inertial mass of the engine beds. Now what is that? Headers, stretchers, headers, stretchers. Is that English bond? Is that right? Or is it Flemish bond? I don't know. I should know these things, but look at it. Distinctly. A course of headers, a course of stretchers, a course of headers, a course of stretchers. Alternate. Not one every 3 or something like that. How bizarre that I should think of that. Dear gosh. And the scrap men were particularly assiduous on this one, because there don't even appear to be the hold down bolts or hold down studs left in it, you know. Picked bare of any ferrous material, anything metallic. So there you go. Yeah. And then we have another engine bed adjacent to a higher SOP working. I haven't looked at the map to check whether this might be Woodhead No. 2 pit. Who knows? Again, I'll flash up a snapshot of a relevant part of the 25-inch OS map. Again, header stretcher, and 0 hold down bolts currently extant. Yeah, remarkable. Well, these might have had some sort of external studs as well, or bolts in those channels there, or it might have been for feed water or steam. Yeah. And here we emerge on the top of the spoil tips, looking down. A local walker tells me this is called Black's Pit, but technically it's Woodhead No. 1. And the spoil tips, so I'm anticipating another engine bed up here somewhere that lifted the spoil to this level so it could be trammed out onto these spoil fingers. Yeah, magnificent. And I just love the hue of the spoil. It sort of looks like a heathery purple in this light. It's a dog swimming, look, in the pond. Ah, beautiful, isn't it? Black comb, the estuary. And again, from up here you can see, my finger probably doesn't correlate it to it in the clip, but you can see the line of rubble that delineated, we believe, the sea barrier, the wall, the sea wall, the outer wall protecting the SOP. My oh my, look at this, a precipitous spoil finger leading one inexorably towards one's doom. Oh, marvellous, isn't it? Brilliant. Another spoil finger. Look at those magnificent beasties over there. The spoil fingers, I mean. looky here, at the top of this footpath leading uphill, there's this rail, which perhaps without the accretion of years worth of rust building up might be the same stock rail that I was measuring below on the sea barrier. This is 79mm. I think I sort of estimated 85 below, but I was looking at it obliquely. There's another piece here. Oh, that's sort of merged in the well, but 80mm roughly high, bull-headed rail, flange about 75 actually, 75mm. Oh look, we'll do it this way. Yeah, 75mm, 3-inch. Do this again. Yeah, it's over 3. I think I estimated 3.5-inch down below, but it might be 3.25, because this stuff looks good. But I bet you anything you like, this has been lifted from tram roads on this mining field to erect this barrier. Yeah, oh, that's interesting, isn't it? That's good. So we've got cross rails made of tram rail, and the stanchions made of tram rail. It's all good. Like it. Nice. There aren't any holes in the flanges. That's because they had dogs, you know, like bent over nails, railed dogs rather than screws that you would see on a main line into timber sleepers.